What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is Ryan, your DIY guy, and on today's episode we are busy with the back door paving right outside the kitchen door, and we're clearing up the area so that we can get a good foundation to get cracking on this exciting opportunity for a good friend of mine. So stay tuned and let's get on with the prep work. We kick off this exciting project with a bit of prep work, and that means getting all our pavers in one space so that we are ready to install. But you can see different size here. We've got smaller squares, we've got larger squares, we even have rectangular shapes, etc. And here's a good look at the area. You can see it is not level. From where I'm standing, it dips down into this area, and we've just loosely placed some pavers to get an idea of the layout. That artificial grass will come out as it's seen better days. We thought of including a few small square pavers over there in the corner, and obviously we'll pave into this nook behind the gate. Now, interestingly, there is a bit of a problem with the gate because it was set too low, which just clears that paver but not these loose ones we've laid down. So we've got a fair bit to dig down, and we'll show you that in a bit. Here's a good view. You can see how the slope dips from where I'm standing right now, and how it dips down into that area, which is good for rain runoff but not good for pavers to be skew. So we're just bringing all the pavers. We used approximately 30 to 40 pavers in total. Each of them are about 5 centimeters thick. The larger pavers are 40 centimeters by 40 centimeters. The smaller squares are 20 by 20 centimeters, and the rectangular pavers are 20 by 40 centimeters. So you can see quite a bit of weight that we had to lug around. You're gonna want to stick around right till the end to see the amazing reveal of how this turned out, but it's got to start somewhere, and that's getting down and dirty. Where my left hand is going to be the ledger paver, which was actually an existing paver which had the gate clear nicely, and we used that as a reference to find the elevation of the other pavers. So moving from the far end towards where we are, we then started with a string line to provide a gradual elevation, also to measure against these steps to see what works and that's not too steep of a drop when you step off, and then moving to the right hand side to create a gradual elevation, because the area to the right, as you saw previously, is much higher and steeper. So we did need to remove a bunch of soil, and the soil was actually pretty healthy, but it was pretty compacted as well over years of compaction, but the pick made light work of it. Now, this view also gives you an indication of the depth that we had to dig down. Each of the pavers are about 40 millimeters thick, and we needed to provide for 20 millimeters of a base foundation, that being 10 mils of crushed stone and 10 mils of river sand as a seating bed for each of the pavers. So all in all, we needed about 50 to 60 millimeters total depth to consider when we were preparing the foundation. Here's that ledger stone, as I mentioned to you earlier, with the stake and string line reaching across to the pavers, and the second paver which matches up to it now, giving a clear reference of where the others need to go in place. And you get an idea of how thick each of these pavers are, but also an idea of how much earth is required underneath, or base is required underneath. And even better so, on this third paver as a reference paver, you can see how much soil needed to be removed from here, as well as the base underneath, which will be the 20 millimeters of crushed stone and river sand, and a good view of how far we are right now. But once this is complete, we can move on to that crushed stone as well as the river sand. You're gonna wanna hold onto your helmet for this one. This is a Tamp and the base of it is quite heavy. You can see it compresses or tamps down the soil a further 10 millimeters, which is great in this area because the slope is quite significant and just avoids any water eroding the soil any further. Now on the first step is our 10 millimeter base of crushed stone, and the beauty of this stuff is it creates firstly a solid foundation for our pavers to go on. It provides adequate drainage as well, and a third benefit is almost a weed barrier because it prevents any daylight from getting to any of those pesky weeds that may sprout up. What a beautiful look at us dropping out some of this crushed stone, but you notice it kicks up quite a bit of dust, so we'll take care of that with a hose down in a second. We rake out the area to provide for the 10 millimeter base and spread this throughout the designated area, and then obviously we will then hose down just to ensure that there is no dust kicking up, etc., and we can then level it. Now the water also allows for each of the crushed stones to settle down somewhat and compact even more, and makes it a bit easier when leveling out the surface. The second step is to add the river sand. So this will provide for our second 10 millimeter layer, and the beauty about this river sand is that it is an inorganic sand, which also prevents any weeds from sprouting up or any organic matter sprouting up, and provides a nice soft seating bed for each of the pavers, and also aids with water drainage. The cool part is that because it is softer, you can then level it and grade the area to provide for the exact slope that you want. Now all told, we used about 7 bags of crushed stone and 7 bags of river sand, each weighing in at about 40 kilograms. So all told, we laid down close to half a ton of material. Now we're at the halfway mark, and coming up next is the grand finale. So stay tuned because it is epic. With the foundation now set with the stone and river sand laid down and level, we can go ahead and lay down our pavers in their preliminary positions just to get a good idea of where they will be seated. And what we're doing is making sure that they are in alignment both vertically and horizontally, from left to right and top to bottom. Because trust me, if they are not, you'll definitely see it. It's also good to make sure that they are horizontal with adjacent pavers to ensure that when you walk over them that they are still level and don't cause a trip hazard. So we use the spirit level just to get a quick alignment of some of the pavers, but we also then pulled out a string line just to determine a perfect straight line in order to align each of the pavers quite quickly and easily. You can see I'm using a white rubber mallet. This ensures that no scuff marks are left behind on the pavers to mar them later on. And then of course we topped all of the gaps up with some potting soil for our ground cover that will go in and finish off the space quite beautifully. And then we moved on to planting, which was quite a labor of love because it took almost 60 individual plants which we split up and spread out in between each of the pavers, ready for them to grow in and possibly add a bit more in future. Decided on the Falkia Repens plant, which is a creeping perennial plant that works well in both shade and full sun, and is a plant that creates perfect ground cover for these patio pavers. there you have it, folks. We're done and it looks absolutely stunning. I hope my friend Katie is absolutely happy, and we just wait to see all of these little greens grow in time to come. So stay tuned for that update coming soon on Nail and Screw. If you enjoyed this content, then please go ahead and subscribe. It helps us grow this channel tremendously. Give the video a thumbs up and add a comment of what you enjoyed the most or what you'd like to see in a future video, and we'll include it. Thank you so much for tuning in now, and we'll catch you on the next video coming up on Nail and Screw.